Hello everybody, my name is Sigourney, and I am the Origami Llama. Welcome back to my channel everybody. In today's video, I will just be breaking down my initial impression of the world's first ever Origami World Marathon. And guys, it was a blast. This is going to be a little bit of a casual video this time, but I hope you'll tune in and listen to some of my thoughts and first impressions. There were some really wonderful artists here, and I just kind of want to take the time to go through, show you some of the models that I got to make, and talk a little bit about the artists, and maybe give you a few tips that they gave me. So the first thing I will address are the dates here. So it says the 22nd through the 23rd, and I'm not entirely sure which time zone they are based in, but depending on which time zone you're in, the dates could vary from the 21st to the 24th. For me, it started the evening of the 21st and ended the evening of the 23rd. So I'm sure they mentioned in here which time zone, but I don't recall. Anyway, so that brings me to our first workshop, which I almost missed because the settings on my Google Calendar weren't quite right time zone wise. I added the entire event to my calendar to keep track of it, and yeah, it was an hour off, so I almost missed Winnie's, but thankfully I tuned in early to make sure all of my equipment and internet access was good. But I did miss a little bit of this first workshop, but I did get to make this really lovely little tessellation. As you can see, this is just part of this unit here that's shown in the picture, and she showed us a few different techniques for tessellation and how to fold them. We started off the session with a 6x6 grid, if you can see that properly, but yeah, it's we started off with these guys. And for each of these workshops, as you can see, there's like a special preparation section here. So we did pre-gridded 6x6 kami for this. And yeah, some of the preparations were kind of intense. I know I made a few posts about it on my social media talking about, oh, I'm a little overwhelmed. There are so many preparations to make and I don't have all the papers. Because I did sign up for this a little bit last minute, but I'm so glad I did, guys. It was a really cool experience. People from all over the world. So Winnie was from Australia. The next workshop, Gens, was he's out of Japan, and we made this really cute little snail. And this spiral, you can just infinitely spiral around, basically. We stopped at, I want to say, 6. I think I went on and did an extra spiral though, just because, you know, go above and beyond. Which is, speaking of above and beyond, some of these other participants are just out of this world talented. Just I mean, there were kids out folding me left and right. It was really, really cool to see. Part of the segment right at the end, people got their webcams turned on and they all got to show off their work. Unfortunately, my computer doesn't have a webcam attached to it, so I didn't get to participate in any of that, but I did get to see a lot of other people's final models, and there are some really talented, really fantastic folders out there, and that was really cool to see. So I didn't get to see this workshop with the hamster. Unfortunately, I didn't have the right size paper. It recommends 25 centimeter, and I had just ordered some paper that was coming in on Saturday, and this was still Friday night. So I didn't get to participate in that one, but I will go back and do that one. Because, yeah, this was 48 hours straight, and, you know, unfortunately, being human, I did need some sleep for parts of this, and didn't get to participate in every single one of these workshops, but I do have a weird sleep schedule, so I got to participate in a lot of them. Usman's workshop was really cool. I managed to pop out 2 of these Rotary stars. I just thought this was a really cool and very simple, just modular. Modular meaning multiple pieces of paper. So origami, you usually think one square sheet of paper, no cuts, no this and that. And the cool thing about some of these workshops is that they were a little non-traditional. There were modular, there was wet folding, there was one workshop I didn't get to attend, but it was curved tessellations back in here. required all sorts of crazy things, cutting tools and pieces of cardboard. So yeah, this was an origami marathon, but they were all different types of origami, ranging from traditional to modular to just everything. There was everything, and it was fantastic. What I really liked about Usman's, and I don't mean to poke fun at him, he doesn't have a lot of English, so there was a whole lot of, okay, yes, okay, okay. And I remember the moderator had asked, because Usman was standing in a classroom, "Oh, Usman, you teach. What do you teach?" And he didn't understand the question, so he just said, "Yes." And that made me giggle a little bit, but he was fantastic. I really enjoyed his workshop, and the next one was a lot more difficult, so you can see perhaps that there are difficulty levels listed on each one of those. This last one was 1 star. This was 4 stars, and maybe you're thinking, oh, well, that doesn't look too difficult, you guys. This was way more difficult than I thought it would be to create. I did it, and it's really cool. It's like an old-fashioned clock face, like an alarm clock or a microwave. And it is really fun to play with, just changing the times on it, and like, oh look, now it's 2. I do kind of want to make multiples of these and do kind of like this, just make all 10 of these. But it is a more difficult model. It did take a little bit to finesse all of the folds in there, which it was challenging. I really enjoyed that one, and I think it's a unique idea. Some of these are just really unique models. This next one, out of Vietnam, this cute little rat mouse, this was for the New Year. It is the Year of the Rat. And this guy is too cute. I just like the detail on the whiskers, the way the ear pops up and stuff. This one, I could do more shaping and rounding on the body. Mine's not perfect, but I do really like how this one turned out. This next one was also a lot of fun. This one, Ali from Iran called his creamy star. You can probably guess why. It's because, I mean, star-shaped. And it's got this little dollop on top. Looks like a little swirl of whipped cream or something. Very cute. And I really enjoy models where you can do things like with butterflies or petals, like crimping the petals or corners of things and giving them a little swirl, just giving them a little bit more of that organic shape. I thought this one turned out really neat too. I'm going to say that about all of these. I'm sorry, it's just, I'm so proud of all of the work that I got done with this. This one is honestly probably one of my favorites, one of my unexpected favorites. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it at first because, again, I didn't have the paper right away, the 25 centimeters, so this is from 15 centimeter kami that I just had laying around, and I think the colors worked out really great too, really vibrant, like a teal, so it's not quite that blue that you would expect from a blue-footed booby, but look at this guy, his little tail. I mean, the wings I could probably fold and shape a little bit more like they did in the picture, a little bit rounding the edges and taking time to sculpt and round the feet. But this is the base model for it, and just, it's so cute. So thank you so much, Kunsulu from Turkey. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You'll notice I'm not pronouncing a lot of these names. It's because I'm rubbish at it, and I would have to look all of them up first again. But Juho from Finland did a really cool model. It was more difficult. You can see that 4 stars difficulty again. So there is his final model. And guys, don't laugh. Okay, you can laugh a little bit. It's kind of funny, but this is my penguin in shining armor. Yeah, it didn't turn out perfectly. I used really thick paper. I don't know if you can tell from this, but just really, really thick, too thick of a paper. So he turned out a little robust, we'll call him, or her. I mean, look at these hips. This could be a lady knight marching into battle. But yeah, if you're going to fold this model, I do recommend you use thinner paper than what I used. I don't remember what kind this is from. This is just what I had laying around. So I think it might be like an elephant hide paper, which way too thick for this model. Way too many folds, too many layers. But I did really have fun folding it. It was challenging. I did get all the folds in, and I think it's actually still pretty fantastic considering the paper's way too thick. Like, it didn't turn out half bad. The chest plate, I mean, it needs some work, but still, my little reason I called it a penguin is I posted it on Instagram, and another participant in the workshop commented and said, "Oh, yours is like a penguin in armor." I'm like, oh no, you're right. It's pretty penguiny. But I'm definitely going to attempt that one again. That one, like I said, it was challenging. It was a lot of fun, and Yuho does really cool knights. If you were to check out his Instagram, I don't recall what it is off the top of my head, but just he does all sorts of really cool armored models. Looks fantastic. Now, this guy, you probably have seen me post about before on either Instagram or Facebook. I love Mark Vigo's llama, and this time he did a chicken. And I loved the chicken. Turned out really great. We didn't do it with the 2 toes in the workshop, so you can see we just have a single toe on each foot, but I did a little bit of shaping from the crest to the beak to make it a little rounder, and I think it just turned out really sweet. I did, in my shining moment, get to tell Mark Vigo how much I loved his llama in the chat portion. I didn't have my mic hooked up either to the computer, so I just was typing into the Q&A box, but I let him know that I loved his llama model, and he actually commented on it, which I don't know if I have any laying around right now. Let me check real quick. Here it is! So this is Mark Vigo's llama, and it was published in Origami USA's The Fold, I believe. But I mean, I'm the origami llama, so of course I love llamas. But this model, the autofocus is rubbish, I apologize. But this model here, he said he actually modified a giraffe, an already existing giraffe model, to create it, which I thought was just an interesting little bit of trivia on it. But he was a lot of fun. He's from Spain, and the chicken was excellent. So Maria's workshop was next, from South Africa. She was actually born and raised in Russia, but we made these really lovely hexagonal coasters. And this is another modular, like Usman's, and just, my husband makes fun of me all of the time. I love hexagons or hexagonal things, so he's just always teasing me. Every time we see a hexagon in anything, he's like, "Oh, look, it's a hexagon." I'm like, I know, they're brilliant. But it is brilliant, this really elegant design, and you could do it a little bit smaller, and maybe cast it in resin or something to actually make a coaster out of it. I think that would look really fantastic. If you have the means to do something like that, that would turn out really pretty. But yes, that was a really chill workshop. We just made units, because I'll tell you, some of these modular workshops were pretty intense, just because say you had to make 13, or in Robert Lang's case 30 units. I was folding for my life, just like, oh, make all of the units, do it quick. And it was tough, but for a lot of them I did manage, or at least managed to finish them a little bit after the workshop. But at this point I think I took a snack break or something, because I did not yet get to fold Arthur's pig. I do really want to, so it's on my video list of things to do, and thankfully they pre-recorded, each of these artists pre-recorded a video for each of these, so that we can, if those who participated in the marathon can go back and enjoy them for however long. So Josie's model was this really great victory ring or victory star. I'm not sure, ring or star. It's more of a ring, but I thought this was really pretty. I was getting really tired at this point because I don't even remember what time it was. It was pretty early in the morning. I had stayed up from like 6 p.m. to like 6 or 7 a.m. the next day, and I was getting pretty sleepy at this point, but I worked my way through this one, and she actually has a really sweet story about how she started in origami. She's from Holland, and back in 1980, 40 years ago, her daughter started kindergarten, and they read this book about a piece of paper that felt ugly and useless and thought it was just going to be thrown out. And the wind heard this sadness of the paper and carried it to this little girl. And this little girl heard the distress of the paper from the wind and went out and found the piece of paper. And when she found it, the little paper thought, oh no, I'm going to be thrown out. This is it. And instead, the little girl took the piece of paper, folded it into this really beautiful swan. And the paper got to live happily that way as this beautiful piece of art, rather than refuse. And Josie took that to heart, and she's been folding ever since then. And she did give me some hope, too. She said that she's not super mathematically inclined, which I'm good at math, I'm good at geometry, but I don't always necessarily apply it when I'm designing my own origami. But she's created uncounted numbers of these beautiful modules and other models, and she says that she does it basically mostly by feel, just intuition, and that is one really excellent way to design. You can just pick something up, and it's kind of like doodling. You just play with the paper, see what comes of it, see what connects, see what works. But I mean, don't get me wrong, math really does help, but if you're not super mathematically inclined, but you still really want to get into origami, don't worry, you can. And you can make really excellent models just like this. So this is the last workshop I did of that from the start of the marathon, before I finally sacked out and went to bed, which I thought was appropriate because it's a sleeping cat. And Jonathan's workshop was really interesting and really useful because I don't know a whole lot about wet folding techniques, and he really dug into it. I stole my cat's drinking. He's got like a special drinking glass on the sink because he's spoiled. But I stole his drinking glass real quick so that I could do some of the wet folding for this really cute cat design. I love how these turned out, and they're really, really easy to make. It's just a 4 centimeter by 25 centimeter strip, a very short, easy folding sequence for the head and face, and then just wet folding for the whole body. And you can do this just with some water. You can do it with like a little spray gun, or like a spray gun is not the word I was looking for, but a spritzer. And yeah, you wet the paper. You can shape it while it's wet, and then once it hardens or dries, it solidifies. The paper will harden and retain its shape way better than what it would if you had not wet folded. So it's a really useful technique, especially for something like this. And they did do a few other models, a few other cats, and he's got some really cool ones, and one that made me laugh out loud of a cat grooming, which I'll let you use your imagination, but that one made me laugh out loud. And he had them just, in all sorts of different cat positions, stretching out the front paws and, being playful kitties. It was really interesting what you can do with just that one long strip of paper, and how you can interpret the movements of cats in paper just... and it's an abstraction, of course, which all origami is. I think Robert Lang writes about this in his design book, actually. Origami is always an abstraction, and you're always trying to choose which abstraction will work, which details you want to bring to the forefront of your model, and which ones you really want to express or which ones look best to express for any particular model, but I really liked this, the sleeping kitty. So, like his kitty, I went to sleep shortly after that one. I did unfortunately miss a whole lot of these workshops, so I'll page through here real quick and just kind of show you the designs. I do want to definitely go back and do these modulars. The house, and this squirrel. I am so sad I had to miss this one to get sleep, because Beth Johnson's squirrel looks so freaking cool. You can see the spiral on the tail is just really beautifully illustrated by these pleats. Even a little acorn. I don't know if she actually had time to do the acorn in her workshop, but as you can see, some of these workshops are 2 hours, so if you were to fold the squirrel, you probably wouldn't have time to head over to Jeremy Schaefer's video camera, which also looked really cute. I like his, like, just from his picture, I like his personality. I'm really sad I didn't get to attend his as well, because just, look at this goof. He looks like he's having so much fun. Which is also really part of origami. Like, are you having fun? Good. You were supposed to. And for a lot of these, I can tell you I had a big stupid smile on my face, because this was my first ever experience with a proper origami conference due to whatever reason, time constraint, inability to travel at the moment, or any of those things. I just, in my 7 years of folding, had not been able to attend any sort of workshops or connect with other people in my field, which really saddened me for the longest time. So this has been probably one of the best parts of 2020 for me so far. I really do want to go through and fold this black-necked swan as well. When I saw it at first, I thought it was a goose, because, I mean, black neck, white body, I'm like, oh, hey, that's a goose. Oh, never mind, that is a black-necked swan. And then, of course, since I have a Chihuahua, I would like to fold the Chihuahua. Like, I love this model. I'm really... Some of these guys I'm so sad that I had to miss for sleep. Why do I need to sleep? Sleeping is so overrated. It's not. It's a healthy part of being human, so please get your sleep. Anyway, this is one that I think I had mentioned a little bit before, the curved tessellations, and some of the special preparations. There's you needed a scorer or an old pen, some sort of tool to make a mark, a template, so like a cuttable cardstock or plastic. She used an old notebook cover or notepad backs, and some of the paper sizes for these were kind of funky too. So not squares, but she needed an A4 size piece of paper or an A5. And A4 printer paper is different than your like letter-sized printing paper, so you had to be careful about your dimensions. And I actually had to look it up because I did get to participate in one workshop that used A4 sized paper, and I had to look up the dimensions to make sure I got my cutting correct. But so I finally woke up after maybe like 5 hours of sleep, maybe less. I know, but it's a marathon. You do these things. Do it for your art. But I got to participate in Canadian Joseph Wu's Icarus Mid-Air Model Workshop, which I love this model. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a giant humanities nerd, which I am. That was my degree of study when I went to college. But just look at this. Like, his model looks fantastic. The definition on the wings, he got to play with his a little bit more, but the one we folded was slightly different. I do want to go back and try to fold some more of these because he mentioned there were so many different variations for the wings. And something I learned about him as an artist, he does not like to, what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't like to diagram. There we go. He doesn't like to diagram his models, so he doesn't have any folding diagrams or instructions. You'll only ever find like videos, tutorials of his, and yeah, he does not draw his out and write his down. It's not a thing he likes to do, which I understand. It's very difficult. I'm still trying to learn how to do it. I don't know how much I will personally enjoy it, but we will see. But this is what I came up with. I thought it turned out pretty well. Sadly, during the workshop, his paper actually ripped at the head. and some other part on the body. I forget where else, but he had a few rips in his, unfortunately, so he wasn't able to go especially a lot of detail into the head region, but I did get kind of the shaping down. I had to get a little creative about defining the actual head and body, but you can see I put some shoulders on him. And these are the wings that we did for the workshop. I do want to play around with them more, give them some more points and peaks, like the wings in here. They're a little bit more defined, more feathery. I really like how that turned out, but he has several different models of Icarus with his man-made wings flying too close to the sun. It's tragic. God, I can't talk today. It is a tragic tale in Greek mythology. And for those of you not familiar with the tale of Icarus, definitely go look that one up. But he was inspired by another Instagrammer. It was, I think, it has Icarus in the title, and I also can't bring that one to mind. I'll try to put some of these in the detail, the description box below. But yes, Icarus was a blast. This one's way more complex. It's got that 4-star rating, which the highest number, of course, on the rating scale is 5, which only one workshop has 5 stars, but some of these I think deserve at least 4.5. I'd say this one's probably more of like a 4.5 workshop, but it was really fun. And Joseph was a very good teacher. I really enjoyed that workshop. So because that last one was 2 hours, I unfortunately missed out on Nymphaea, the next one, which I do intend to go back and fold because look at these. These are stunning. I'm definitely going to be going back to the video on that one. But right after Icarus, we went and I got to meet one of my heroes, Robert J. Lang. He's an American origami artist, and he has revolutionized the way that modern origami is done. He's applied mathematics to it, which has made for a whole array of more complex models. And just, yeah, this is what we made. This is his curved propeller module. And it is deceptively simple to make. And it just produces this really stunning result. The geometry of it is also just really fascinating. You can see it forms a bunch of triangles. You've got a star within a star within a star forming here, and yeah, just I don't know how he comes up with these, but yeah, Dr. Lang is actually famous for his insects, but and he does a lot of nature-based origami, so nature-inspired. So he does a lot of just models from one sheet of paper usually. So this is kind of different for him. He doesn't really specialize in like kusudama and modular works, but wow, I was blown away by this. This is a great model. And I'm really glad I got to attend his workshop because, like I said, he is one of my big inspirations. When I first got into origami, he was one of the first people I started learning about and whose models I really started trying to fold. But more on that later. So Cade-chan took us actually through 2 different models. We got a pleasant surprise. So we got to do his beautiful whale. I chose this like galaxy star paper, which I thought looked really cool for the model. I really like how it turned out, but yeah, this is my whale. Cue the Gojira music. But yes, it's a really elegant, very simple to fold model too, actually. You can see the difficulty, it's only 1 star. The only maybe difficult part would be like this closed sink kind of section right here, which honestly it's not that bad. Do not be intimidated by sinks. You can do it. Though I do know a lot of folders feel a sense of deep dread when they hear the word sink, and they're like, no, not a sink fold, please no. They're not that bad. You can do it. So he also taught us another one, like I mentioned, and I love this one. This is his Immortal Crane, and I'm sure you've seen just a regular origami crane. So this is just a take on that original model, and it is a bird base. Actually, technically, no, I'm sorry, I think it's actually a frog base, but it just comes out so nice. The wings, you can really play with some curve folds in the wings, and do some curling. Really long, elegant legs. I love the legs on this model. They're fun to shape and play with, and just you have a lot of. I use kind of thicker paper for this one, which is fine. I think this one is a little bit more forgiving with thicker paper, at least more forgiving than my night model, if you'll remember. But just, yeah, there are a lot of layers that go into this, so you really have to pinch, and I can tell you at this point my hands were getting pretty sore, but worth it, completely worth it. So I didn't get to see the Dragon Workshop. I don't remember, maybe like a snack break or something. You got a snack for marathons. But I conserved my energy and got to attend this awesome peacock seminar. Unfortunately, the video was pretty laggy on my end. I don't know, I think it was lagging for a few people, especially like in the US. So sadly I missed a few steps and I couldn't complete the model as is, which is really spectacular. As you can see, the peacock is actually the official bird of India. And so don't laugh, mine's not nearly as cool, but I improvised. And I came up with this. It's not, like I said, nearly as cool as his, but it's still kind of pretty. It's still alright. And you can probably tell by this point, oh hey, her paper finally came in. Yes, this is my massive, let's see the dimensions. Yeah, this is 13.8 inch paper, which I don't remember. Oh, it's 35 centimeters. Yeah, so this is my giant paper. Woo! But I'm gonna go back and refold the peacock and watch his video, because I do want to fold the proper model, because like I said, his is super cool. Mine's okay for an improv. But next was Fumiaki's from Japan. We got to fold this really cute fennec fox. I loved this fennec fox. I thought he turned out super cute. I really like the detail that I managed to get with the face. I kind of suggested some eyes here and the snoot. You can see it a little better on my Instagram if you wanted to check that out. It's also just the origami llama. But nice thick tail. I used some ginkgo leaf paper. Not actually made out of ginkgo leaves, but just you can kind of tell that the pattern on there, some gold ginkgo leaves, which is appropriate. Very common motif you'll see in Japan. But I love the fennec fox. I didn't get to see the bookmark, so that's another one I'll have to go back and fold. This is really cute though, just a black bear, a little bookmark, and as an avid reader, I do love me some good bookmarks, so I will go back to that one. But I did get to go to this heron workshop, and by go to I mean sit in my same desk chair and fold looking at my computer all day. But yes, I really enjoyed this one too. This is 3 stars. He recommended 20 to 25 centimeter kami. I just used my giant 35 centimeters, so I got this great big heron. And I just really love how elegant this one is, design-wise. Just a pleasure to fold, except maybe the color changes. So you'll see there's a color change in the beak and in the legs. So there was some flipping around of paper and very careful tucking in of corners, you know, trying not to rip the expensive paper. But that's always a little, that puts me on edge a little bit, trying to like do some of these color changes without ripping the paper, because it can happen to beginners and it can happen to people in the most advanced forms of origami, just if you've had years and years of experience, you can still rip the paper, as Joseph Wu proved to us. It can happen to anybody. So yeah, if you're a beginner or an expert, it doesn't matter. You can rip the paper. Don't feel bad. It happens. But I didn't, and it turned out really great. So that was my heron. Oop. Lang's model's trying to roll over the set here. I think I took another snack break or something at this point. I didn't get to see Ben's, unfortunately. But this one looks really cool. It's 2 stars of difficulty, and it's just this really lovely tessellation, a star. And I'm definitely going to be going back to figure that one out. I did get to, this was the last one I got to participate in before I had to go to sleep again, so the next few I missed again, but I did get to see how to make these awesome babouche stars. Babouche. I really liked these. These are basically just preliminary base. We started with our preliminary base and then just modified it from there. Did some swiveling and some center folding and I did a little bit of shaping on my ends. Like I said, I really like to do stuff with where the petals or the tips of things can be swirled and just given a little bit more character. So I really like how those turned out. They're really simple, but just really fun design to do. So that workshop was also a pleasure. I did not get to see the shark. I think yeah, that's right. I went to bed at this point, so I didn't get the shark or this awesome box or these cute little finger puppets. Guys, origami finger puppets. I want them. Yeah, there's some really cool modular works in here. These last 2. This Pegasus looks really freaking cool. That was a 2-hour workshop, so it looks like it's a little bit more advanced. And this is another, it looks like it's a little bit of non-traditional origami work. We will cut the paper to the right size. Very soft paper like napkin paper, handkerchief, hygienic paper. Ooh, toilet paper folding. Yes! No silk paper, she says. I'm intrigued. I do want to see what those are about. Because it doesn't look like traditional origami, but it does look like fun. So, and they turn out really cute. I like the little bulbs on the end. So this is when I finally woke up. I got to take part in this fawn workshop. And we didn't get to fold this exact model with the long neck and the horns and everything. We folded, I'd say it looks a little bit more like an elf. Unfortunately, like, the moderators kept stopping and asking questions and like, can you repeat that? Can you go back? So we didn't really get to do the finishing details on the ears. Mine probably aren't exactly how they should be, but I definitely want to go back and fold some more of these and play around with the dimensions and see if he's got more tutorials on how to kind of play with the horns and do the neck, because I love how that one looks. This one still looks pretty cool. I like, it looks like a mischievous little elf or an imp or something. Just the nose was a lot of fun. I think the nose turned out really cool, and you can make the lips pretty much any size and shape them, and it's, yeah, this one was a lot of fun. I just do wish that the moderators had not stopped him so many times, because we did run out of time on the ears, and I wanted to shape those better, or at least do it how he does it. But this was a really cool workshop too, and he doesn't do a whole lot of wet folding. I found out you can do wet folding with these models, but all of his are actually just held together by like paper tension, and they take shape just by the tension of the paper, which it was kind of surprising, because it almost does look like there's wet folding going on here, and it's just, yeah, I guess that's an optional. You don't have to with those. This next workshop, this one was a lot of fun. David Brill was a hoot, and we made these really cute, really simple little cubes, chain link cubes, and they're called chain link cubes because they link together. I'll just take one apart real quick. You can see that it's just this really simple TV looking unit, and you can just link them in together. So you can make great big towers of chain link cube units, and they turn out really cool. It's so simple, like I almost laughed out loud. But he also showed us another really cool model that he was working on called, so an icosahedron is a 20-faced spherical object, right? It's got 20 faces on it, 3D shape, and it's made out of equilateral triangles, 20 of them. Well, he made one that has units kind of similar to the ones used for these that all link together, and they form an icosahedron of sorts that squashes together. So of course he calls it the I-squashahedron, and I thought that was really funny. The moderators kept teasing him and asking him, "Oh, can you tell us how you got that name again?" And basically trolling him, which was funny. He took a drink of water at one point and made a point to tell us all, "Listen, you all, this is water, this isn't vodka." And just at that point, then I'm like, well, now that you've said so, I'm suspicious. But yeah, he was really funny. This is one of those workshops I definitely had a big stupid smile on my face, and he chose a 1-star difficulty for us, just kind of something that he came up with over the pandemic lockdown. So he wanted to give us a break because at that point we had done 30 plus hours of non-stop folding, and he's like, "You know what, you've put in your work, let's do something a little simpler, let's just take it easy and have fun," because he's like, "Some of these guys, I went to their workshop and they seemed pretty stressed out, and that's not what I'm about," which I appreciated, because honestly, yeah, I needed an easy fold break like that, and this was a pleasure. Roman Diaz, he was also fantastic. He taught us how to do these really darling Santa ornaments, which Joseph Wu on his Instagram went ahead and his kid pointed out to him, "Hey, that Santa could also be a wizard," so he made Radagast, Gandalf, and Saruman out of brown, gray, and white paper, and I thought that was a really, as Lord of the Rings nerd, I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. So I might go and make some wizards of my own, but this is my Santa. I used foil paper, which wasn't necessarily recommended because there are a few reverse folds, and I typically do not like working with foil paper. You can probably see some of the duress on the edges here where the color peeled off, and yeah. It still looks really cool, but yeah, I don't necessarily recommend foil for this model, but it turns into a little pyramid. And it's really easy to make, very cute. We did not get to make the tree, and it was funny. He was like, "Oh no, I knew this question was coming. We're not making the tree, that's just something I improvised." You know, you can kind of play with your own ideas for trees. It's basically the same shape as the Santa, but just don't put the face on it. You just do some, you know, you can do some pleat folds or just, you know, some folds that show through on the tree. But there were a few disappointed folders, which I wasn't that disappointed. We got to make the cute little Santa, and I was all about that. The next workshop I was so pleased with, guys. Michael G. LaFosse blew me away. I have his book on origami butterflies, and he's pretty famous for them. His Origamido workshops, the studio where he makes his paper and does his origami. The logo is actually one of his butterflies, and he debuted this beautiful carriage house butterfly for us, and I'll show you what I came up with, which is this blue paper. I love it. I think it turned out really cool, and he has, I had put in the chat that I thought he was kind of like the Bob Ross of origami butterflies, and in a way he kind of is. He's just very friendly, very methodical, and has this way of teaching that it's very slow pace, but he gave us so many good tips. He taught us how to find the grain on a paper, because, I mean, he makes paper, so he's an expert. and which way the grain should be oriented depending on the types of models that you're making, and taught us how to properly fold different kinds of folds, or different tips and tricks for how to do certain types of folds. One tip is just, you always start from the corners, and then you go to the you fold to the center. Or if you have like a long intersection, so you put your fingers on the corners, and you kind of just gently roll the paper out to where you want it, place it, and then make your crease. And he's got what he calls his origami rule of thumb, which is simple. Just crease the paper with your thumbnail. That'll leave a really defined, nice crease for you. But yeah, I can't say enough nice things about Mr. LaFosse's workshop. It was fantastic. Yeah, his expertise really shone through in that. You can tell he's taught a lot of different classes, but I look to the future for some of his books that are coming out. He is planning on publishing a book about how to use mathematics in teaching at home, teaching mathematics, or not necessarily at home, but in the classroom or wherever, but using origami to teach mathematics, basically, which sounds fantastic. I'll probably be getting it myself, because I do like working with kids. And then this is the last one that I actually got to participate in before I finally called it quits, because the last, well, it was a 2-hour workshop for this one, so I unfortunately missed the skeletal octahedron, which looks like a lot of fun to fold. And Shuki Kato's really awesome Halloween bat I didn't do the pre-creases for, so I decided that I would just do the pre-creases later and go back and look at his tutorial video that gets posted. But for Fabian's workshop, we folded this really awesome white-tailed deer. I loved this one. This one was actually, it's listed as 3 stars difficulty, so a little bit more difficult, but it just came together like perfectly. I didn't have any questions. His teaching was really good on it, so I mean, I don't know if it was the pacing or the teaching or what, but just this model just really came together really fluidly, and it looks so cool. It's a really elegant design, and you can really play with the curvature again on some of these folds, and really play with the shaping of the face and the head, the horns. And yeah, there's a lot of room for interpretation in this model, which I really enjoy models like that, where you can kind of put your own flair or twist on them. And this model had it. It had the really intuitive folding sequence. It had, the alterability of the model, and it really came together nicely. So I thought that was a really fantastic one for me to end off with. But like I said, I do want to go back and hit all of those really cool models that I missed. And of course, I want to really thank the moderators who did this. They got, I imagine, very little sleep, and had to do a whole lot of work. I don't know if they got paid for any of this, but just thank you, moderators. You did a great job. One of the moderators, you might recognize, Ben Goldberg. He actually has a model workshop. That's one of the ones I missed, the star tessellation. But yeah, included in the program, just how to make a pentagonal base from a square, because some of them did require a pentagonal base. I still have a few left over from the Creamy Star workshop. Here's the Chihuahua that I missed, but here's the pre-crease pattern. Before you ask, I am not allowed to release any of these designs or do any tutorials of my own based on these models from the workshop. So if you want to see these models, you either had to have been part of the marathon, or you should go ask the actual artists. Most of them are on social media, on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. I would look them up and contact them personally. You might be able to buy the design from them, but I can't give them to you. That would be a big origami no-no. So yeah, this pre-crease for Shuki Kato's bat. And that was it. That was the marathon. It was so good. I learned a lot. I I made some new connections with different people. I even got featured in a few of the artists' Instagram stories and stuff, like, oh hey, look, she folded my model, and that was just really cool to have that shout out, to have a little of that recognition, and just, yeah, like I said, just to connect with other origami artists. That was a real treat for me. So thank you to the people who set up this workshop, or this Origami World Marathon. It was really fun. It was a little hectic because, like I said, I joined a little last minute, but wow, what an experience. The only thing I would wish for the future, I think, is just maybe my next one will be less of a marathon and more of a convention, you know, with blocks to sleep, so I don't have to miss so many really cool workshops. But aside from that, it was wonderful. So I hope you guys will join us for the second Origami World Marathon. I know it does cost a little bit, but it is less of a cost than an in-person convention, so I did like that aspect of it being online. A virtual marathon costs less in terms of travel and lodging and all of that, so it's a little bit less prohibitive in terms of pricing. But it still does cost a little chunk of change. But I mean, it was, I want to say, €1 per artist, so it was 48 euros, which was like, I don't remember what that converts to in dollars, but yeah, it's €1 to see each of these really talented artists was totally worth it. And like I said, we get to have these videos that they pre-recorded of their tutorials to look back on, so that we can keep folding and folding and folding their models, which I thought was also a really excellent treat to add to the pot to sweeten the deal. But that was my first ever convention marathon, however you would like to call it, and it was 1000% worth it. So I hope if you're getting into folding, don't be intimidated. Like I said, there were kids out folding me, and don't be intimidated though. Like, that's fantastic to see that level of talent. I wish I had started this earlier on in my life, but here I am, and I'm working on my own designs and going at my pace, and I think I'm doing all right. And next time, if you join me, I think you'll do great too. So that's all for now. Thanks again for joining me on my channel. I know this is a long video, but if you're here with me still, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to my channel. I will have more videos out soon that I'm working on, and thank you again.